find it's more and more commonplace now that when an employee joins a company, a permanent member of staff, the natural part of their package is a company mobile phone. Wow. With the tariff running on the company and them having access to voice. But more and more now we're seeing that the mobile phone is transgressing into other areas. So they don't want to be able to just have voice and SMS services. They very much want to have more services running on mobile devices.
So really mobile email is a big one for me because mobile telephones have been around for some time, since way before I was in the industry. So I've just come to accept that standard, but I'd like to see more consolidation of mobile phones, Blackberries, perhaps some office type documents, just to give me more functionality on the go. That's the key one for me. Because all the data security around that, there's new devices everywhere that connect to things, so I've got issues around what connects to what, where the data is, is it stored on someone's phone somewhere that the company needs. So that gives me a challenge in my day-to-day job. So
most people now they don't want to carry the laptop around because it's the the old weight on the back. So they want the convenience and the ease of use of the small device, but they want the functionality of the full-blown sort of PC laptop service. And so it used to be a goal of IT to try and make the PCs as reliable as the phones. And I think what happened was we gave up on that, and we decided to make the phones as unreliable as the PCs, because that's effectively what they're now running on. So that's the downside.
To have mail on the move, access to contacts and calendar information, when they require it, then the E61, with very good phone functionality and nice and easy SMS, caters for that incredibly well.
People who have Blackberries tend to have come from a company we acquired, and also people who necessarily need one for the job, so sales guys, service salespeople, or people who support salespeople, so they're out on the road on a daily basis, really do need to have access to information and access to their teams.
So we started with giving Blackberries out to our users 2 years ago, and that was initially senior managers. Now all trainees, lawyers, business services managers all have and carry Blackberries, and this is probably unique to Blackberry perhaps, but whenever we have to do a major upgrade, you have to get the device back so that you can do the software upgrade on the device.
So yes, voice over IP is something that we're definitely moving towards. It will have, its first phase will be purely down to business voice communications and the feature-rich functionality that VoIP delivers at the desktop, to the end user. But a very quick second phase to that project is to look at how we can integrate mobile devices, as far as mobile phone handsets, the next generation of handsets that we may introduce to the organisation, to help us reduce our billing on our mobile phones and allow them to use the voice over IP wireless architecture that we build in our offices.
But from my point of view, I manage part of the infrastructure and I want to see less traffic over the LAN, not more. So, if mobile telecommunications are going to go over the LAN, that's going to be the consequence of something else, unless we make an investment in it, which budgets are tight, as in any company. So wait and see.
There's so many possibilities from a functionality point of view that it's inevitable that voice over IP will come. It's just in that sort of chicken and egg situation at the moment where no one's building the applications because there's not enough customers that have already got the basic infrastructure in place. And nobody's putting the infrastructure in place because the applications don't exist, so it's going to be on within the next year. So it will be something that we'll budget for in the next financial year, I suspect, for beginning that project at least.
If you just take a broad spectrum across, say, 10 IT managers, IT directors, and you ask that question, you're probably going to come back to one fundamental point, which will be security. Security of the handheld device, the information on it, and the ability to wipe that information should the device be misplaced, lost, stolen, etc., etc.
So we've got different standards of technology, and we're trying to bring those together.
Just getting the right devices in the right place, with the right language options, the right SIMs, and all that kind of stuff. So endless,
invitations to seminars, conferences. Okay, I could quite easily fill up a week, a month, no problems at all, attending the various IP convergence seminars, the latest handsets, etc., etc. I could go on forever and ever.
I tend to go out and find the information as and when I need it, rather than click on a link on an email and see what's inside. I don't have time to do that.
A lot of cold calls, a lot of spam, sort of pseudo spam email, lots of marketing literature. Come to this event, come to that event, and stuff like that.
The web is number one. Your top 5, 10 listings on a web page. Your top 5 or 10 links. Clearly, if you put your research in a particular product, a particular technology, you can guarantee the first page is going to get looked at.
It's my kind of job to be up to date with what's going on. So, I do keep an eye on the marketplace. I do read the industry rag mags, speak to my peers. I see what the sales guys got to say as well, what they're trying to sell me this month. So,
probably the primary route's kind of the internet these days. If I'm interested in something, then a lot of it will be through monitoring, some blogs or websites that cover that sort of technology, An
alternative to RIM and BlackBerry, so we can have an alternative handset offering, and that handset offering being more aesthetically pleasing. Better functionality on the phone side. There's absolutely no competition between an E61 and an 8700G. They are by far a better phone, and they do mobile mail very well.
They've always worked. They've always had long life battery. I think where they've lacked today is just more around the functionality and features. But he uses them on a phone. I just maybe don't think they look as good, but it's not a big driver for organisations to choose a brand in a phone. It's more about reliability and ease of parts and car kits and boring things like that.
Obviously Nokia had the sort of advantage in the consumer market, and people are so familiar with the BlackBerry software and the Windows software that they've such market share that the development of those is just going to get ahead, and I think it's going to be very difficult for Nokia to keep their own devices and keep going their own route in the business market. However, there is a massive opportunity for somebody to come along and do the business market well, because we don't get great services today.